What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of U4 Jujustu Kaisen Season 2. This is going to be both episodes 22 and 23, the end, pretty much, the season finale of Season 2. And with me, as always, I have Lisbeth.
Yeah, overall, overall animation quality wise, it's not as great as its prior episodes. But I thought,
Mm.
I I kind of figured that they were going with this major cliffhanger style type ending of what where they're going to take this for the next season, I guess. So the episode, okay, so 22 starts off with Panda rescuing Kusakibe from the rubble of the Shibuya's destruction. And Kusakibe and Panda discuss what happened, with Yuji being possessed by Sukuna again. And with everything going on, Kusakibe admits that he's not opposed to Yuji potentially being executed after all of this. Well, Panda himself, he's a bit reluctant on to really even saying whether or not he's opposed by it. Maybe it's possible that he's opposed to wanting Yuji being executed. But so soon after that, we see a conversation. No, we see a scene with Mei Mei and Ui. They fled to
Yeah.
Malaysia all of a sudden. It's like, how did they even get there? Well, okay, so apparently they somehow got there using some kind of teleportation technique. And Mei Mei, of course, is talking to someone over the phone. Like, I guess she's what was it? She's taking out some stock from the stock market or something. I don't know, to get some money out from the stocks.
Yeah, I guess because of the Shibuya incident, the stock market, I guess the Japan stock market has been affected or something like
Well,
that.
it would
Um,
potentially be affected up to that
yeah.
point. So, um, so yes, I mean it. You have to wonder what is going on with both Mei and Uyui moving forward at this point, because essentially they just abandoned their duties to helping to stop the fake Ghetto. I mean, the last time we saw them was them fighting against Ghetto in the first place, but all of a sudden they just fled to another country.
Yeah, it's really like we don't really get to see what happened like right after that scene. I mean, it kind of just had left off with like Fake Edzo confronting them, and we don't really know much about what happened after that.
Yeah,
Um, so I feel like there's probably will be gone into in the next season.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
So we pick up immediately after the prior episode, in which we see the fake Ghetto, asking Maito if he wants to be saved. But at the same time, Yuji, of course, decides to charge it toward the fake Ghetto to save Gojo. But unfortunately, Ghetto, like this version of Ghetto is too powerful for even Yuji to go up against. And then it makes he even gets even more powerful soon after that, once he consumes Mahito.
yeah, yeah. So basically, Mahito gets sucked into this some kind of an orb, and now Geto can utilize Mahito's what was it, idol transfiguration technique,
Mm.
uh, which he refers to as like now it's like he uses that as the ultimate art or something like that.
He
Um,
called it
so he can
the Uzumaki curse technique.
yeah yeah um, yeah. I mean it just looks like Mahito every time he transforms looks pretty terrifying, but I mean now he's just kind of like this massive flesh, and he's just it's pretty horrifying, honestly.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
and soon after this, Miwa and her other classmates finally arrive back to Shibuya to fight up against Geto. But unfortunately, despite their best efforts, they're all taken down by Geto. And of course, Kabe and Panda also arrive to fight against him. But before they can do anything else, Choso suddenly appears, deciding to confront the fake Geto over his real identity. Which he I guess Choso reveals this fake Geto's real so-called real name is Noritoshi Kamo, but uh, but this Geto says that that name is like one of many identities he's taken. So he could be
Yeah,
anyone.
supposedly this guy was a Jujutsu sorcerer from, uh, I guess feudal era Japan or something. Like he's been around for that long,
Yeah.
or yeah. So I mean, but yeah, like you said, Iefe Geto says like that's just one of his identities. So I don't really know what the deal with the cursed spirit who's inhabiting Geto's body is. Like maybe he just somehow has consumed different people and has taken on different personalities or some or whatever the case is.
Yeah. More
Um,
more and of course, like Geto is like his latest vessel that he's taken over. So Choso, of course, reveals that apparently Yuji is supposedly one of his brothers, and even like Yuji and Panda are like,
definitely scratching my head at that point. Like it sounds like wait what like how does that work?
yeah, like
Um,
even Yuji and Panda are also confused with about this.
I
Like,
mean, what we know, like Toto refers to Yuji as his brother, but he doesn't really mean that necessarily in the literal sense. I mean, they're not really brothers. He just, I mean, it's almost like he's like his brother, but I don't really know what way Choso means it. Like, does he mean it as actual like he believes Yuji is his like blood related sibling or something, or um, yeah, I wasn't too clear on that.
yeah, it's I mean, something happened like when Choso saw like these like.
Because he mentions he can sense all of his brothers, and that he could sense that Yuji, I guess, was in danger or something.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's like after Choso's fight with Yuji back in the prior episodes, like he saw like this memory of Yuji. Apparently, like they were having fun with one another, but it's just like it's not really clear as whether or not these are actual memories or if it's just like implanted memories from whatever the fake Ghetto did to him or something like that. It's not really clear.
I'm really more willing to believe the latter. That it's just that Choso believes that Yuji is his brother, and because I mean, we know that Yuji's never had any kind of relationship with him or his brother. I mean, maybe it could be, I don't know, possibly could be a twist where he did, but I don't really believe. I kind of find it hard to believe that that ever happened.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Choso, of course, like uses his bloodbending abilities to fight against the fake Ghetto, but of course, the Ghetto like just brushes all of his attacks off. And soon after this, I think one of his minions like Orame intervenes and uses like some kind of like freezing technique to freeze everyone solid. And then soon after this, um, before Geto can really kill any one of them, uh, Yuki Tsukumo arrives to save them at the last minute.
yeah, I mean, I can't say I expected her to show up, but yeah, she tried. I think uh, she. I think she isn't like Yuji and the others. They get like frozen in ice or something like that.
Yeah, they did.
Um,
But
yeah,
that yeah, like I said, Yuki arrives to save him at the last minute, and of course, this leads into the next follows it into the next episode in which Yuki confronts the fake Geto over their conflicting ideologies, and of course, like she asked like this fake Geto the same question that she asked like way back when before Geto like abandoned the Jujutsu high school. But of course, we know this is like a completely different Geto, and Yuki, of course, like tells him that humanity's next step in evolution is the removal of cursed energy. But of course, this fake Geto uh, believes the opposite, that that cursed energy should be optimized and utilized in a more effective manner.
yeah. I mean, like we know that the real Ghetto's objective was to essentially, kind of, in a way, sort of like get rid of every human who's not uh, who's like not or like get rid of, I think, all the cursed spirits essentially.
Yeah.
And in order to do that, he would need to get rid of the almost like every human who's not a jujutsu sorcerer.
Mhm. Yeah, and of course, soon after this, Geto like activates Mahito's idol transfiguration. Uh, I think he says he utilizes it in like with some non sorcerers all across Japan in order to, I guess, turn them into sorcerers of sorts. I think it also relates to something what happened to Junpei supposedly. Um, I forgot like most.
You mentioned something about Junpei's like brain configuration or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So so yeah, so like Gato declares that like that he'll that he's gonna like force two groups of like different sorcerers or whatever to kill each other in order to gain a deeper understanding of like how cursed energy works. And and then of course later after this, Geto unleashes like a horde of cursed spirits, mainly as a distraction. So he'll that he eventually escapes before Yuji can end up catching up to him.
Yeah, like he creates a giant hole that like all these cursed spirits just start coming out of. I think.
Yeah.
Um,
And then, and of course, but not before telling Yuji that he has high expectations for him. And then, of course, yeah, he's also anticipating Sukuna to come back as well.
yeah. And then we just kind of cut to all these just news reports of the cursed spirits being, or kind of showing, yeah, cursed spirits just sort of showing up everywhere. We see like these government officials sort of debating whether or not they should reveal the existence of cursed spirits to the public. I guess now that they've just been running rampant everywhere, and there's more of them now than ever.
Yeah.
And it's almost like Japan's become almost sort of like this post-apocalyptic sort of wasteland with these cursed spirits just running around and destroying everything and killing all these people. So I mean, like we after what we saw, what happened in Shibuya, I guess is now it's just even on a more massive scale now that the cursed spirits are everywhere.
Yeah. And and then of course we see a little girl, I guess like stealing some food from like from a store. And then of course she's about to be attacked by this gigantic curse spirit, but then of course that's when Yuta Kotsu finally makes his reappearance and saves the girl.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and we also see a scene where Yuta's talking to, I guess, the
Oh no no
some
no
of the
no!
higher
There was
ups.
one thing I want to point out that
Yeah.
um like once like Yuta does stab this curse spirit, but then soon afterward
Oh yeah.
something else kills the thing, and then he reveals that it's Rika who killed this curse spirit.
All right. Yeah. So that was I was kind of surprised by that because I thought that I mean had in the Jujutsu Kaisen Zero movie, like didn't Rika sort of pass on in a way?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how it, for people that watched the movie, that's how it happened. He released Rika's spirit into the afterlife, but apparently he
Yeah.
still has her with for no explanation. So, I mean, unless we'll get that kind of explanation by the next season, maybe. I mean, it's still not clear,
Yeah.
but apparently he's got her back somehow. I mean, during that time skip.
Yeah. I mean, there's just a lot that we don't know about what's been going on with Yuta since Jujutsu Kaisen Zero.
Yeah,
Um, but then of course, yeah, like we cut to the next scene where he's talking to, I guess, the higher ups from Jujutsu High, who are basically telling him that he needs to, he's basically saying that he's going to kill Yuji Itadori, um, because I think it was like, yeah, like you mentioned, I guess one of his friends got caught up in the in Zakuna's like rampage through Shibuya, and
I think
like got his arm
it
ripped
was
off.
what was it? It was Toge was who got his arms cut off by Sukuna. Um,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of why he's trying to get revenge on Yuji. And then of course we see the last pretty much like the last scene we see Yuji just uh running uh, like running on top of a bridge, and then kind of a cursed spirit like jumps up behind him, and that's it's kind of like how season 2 ends. But
yeah, I mean we
uh
do get like some like almost I would say like almost epilogue dialogue or not dialogue. It's a like it explains like what happens in the aftermath. Like the Jujutsu higher up, of
yeah,
course, they declare Gojo as an accomplice of the Shibuya incident, and they say like uh, that it's forbidden for Gojo to be released from the prison realm that he's trapped in. And then they also sentence Principal Yaga to death, supposedly for his involvement as well. Not to mention, of course, as we know, that Yuji's being targeted for execution by Yuta Okotsu. Um, in terms of Yuta agreeing to this, like I'm a bit like skeptical of like like that he would suddenly just agree to this, even though like he knows that Yuji's a student of Gojo in the first place. I mean, you would think like with Yuta's relationship with Gojo that he would he would have some role in trying to help in any way he can. But I guess my guess Yuta's playing these higher ups, in a way for to cover up Yuji's execution.
Yeah, I mean, my prediction for the next season is that like Eto said, that the sorcerers are in a way going to be like pitted against each other, because now after what happened, like it's probably thrown the the society of Jujutsu sorcerers into chaos, where like they're all kind of out for themselves in a way. So that I expect it'll just probably be like out. They might end up like fighting each other, I guess. And especially with like Yuta now, he's saying he's going to go after Yuji. So I mean, I can see that probably happening in the next
Yeah.
season.
I just don't buy the fact that Yuta would want Yuji to be executed as a revenge for what happened to Toge. I mean, obviously, like Yuta would have to know from Gojo himself, from like apparently like if we remember back in the epilogue of Jujutsu Kaisen Zero, we see Gojo interacting with Yuta in Africa. I would assume that like Gojo would have likely paid Yuta several visits and maybe brought him up in the air of like what's been going on in Japan, as well as like what's been
Mm.
going on with Yuji as well. So I would assume like Yuta's pretty much filled in as to what's been going on. I mean, I find it really hard to believe that he'd be willing to execute Yuji.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see this like kind of like I feel like they would probably try to talk things out, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's likely they will fight, but then they might come to some kind of an understanding or something like that. But I guess we'll have to see. But yeah, overall, I would say this season I'd definitely give this. I would give it an 8, but like there's yeah, like with some of the issues, and it's not really any fault of the animators or anything like that, but you can tell there were definitely production issues throughout, mostly like the latter half of season 2. But I thought that it's hard to say. Like I thought hidden inventory was probably definitely like the one of the best parts of season 2. There's certain aspects of Shibuya Incident I really liked, but um, it's mostly like just down to some of the scenes I felt like could have been better, but because of the production issues were kind of just sort of turned out the way they did. Um, through no fault, like I said, no fault of the animators, just them trying to rush things along.
Yeah.
Uh, but overall, like I think this is definitely like I would say it's a massive step up from season 1. It feels like they kind of raised the stakes really kind of higher than ever with what happened, especially in the Shibuya incident arc.
Yeah,
Um,
especially like how many people they ended up killing off in this season.
yeah,
Uh, and not to mention like, and not everyone was is really safe for what's going to happen, especially what they're planning on for season 3. Or was season
yeah.
3.
I I would say like even though like there are some issues I had with season 2, but for the most part I would say I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. Like it was pretty good. I just hope that like when they do come out with the home video release for it, that they can to some extent touch up the animation so it doesn't so it at some it doesn't look quite as rough. Maybe they're given a chance to actually finish some of the scenes they were working on for the the TV release of it
Yeah.
when they actually put
I
it
mean,
out on
from
Blu-ray.
what I've heard, like they are like releasing comparison clips of of the development team like touching up on some of the scenes that they apparently they didn't really finish up on before before the broadcast release. So it looks like they're
Yeah.
getting there, and hopefully it'll look a lot better than it did when we were watching it, as it was being streamed live. But
Mhm.
overall, yeah, I did like the Shibuya incident arc. It was definitely one of the best seasons of Jujutsu Kaisen. And hopefully it'll definitely follow up once they release this, the third season. They're calling the culling game arc. Um,
Yeah, I think that's the next arc.
yeah. Um, and of course there's also news that they're gonna that the manga is gonna be ending pretty soon. So um, as to how much material season three is gonna have, it's not really known. I mean, I really doubt that they're gonna. I mean, I would hate for it to be like to go the same route as Attack on Titan did when they just claim it's the final season and then like they just release
Yeah, I mean,
more.
let's hope not.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't I think that the Attack on Titan thing
But
is
at the
kind of
same time, we also have to remember that when the final season of Attack on Titan first came out, that the manga wasn't actually finished by then.
yeah.
Like it was being close to being finished, but it wasn't finished yet.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully they don't go that ridiculous route again, but it seems like they know where they're going for the next part of the storyline. So hopefully they'll get that done properly before like if and when the manga will end up finishing sometime. They said sometime next year, I think.
Yeah, yeah, guys. But so I guess that all being said, until next time, we